Hello, lovely people. All right, so today I wanted to just talk with you really briefly about breakfast. Recently at one of my workshops, I had one of the lovely women come up to me and ask me afterwards about breakfast. She was curious, how important is it really? Should we be eating breakfast right away? And what kind of stuff should we be eating, etc. And first, I want to talk about the actual word, right? And if you're not familiar, literally breakfast is just that. It's breaking fast. Because for most of us, we probably stop eating about an hour or so, normal person. I don't always do that, but I tend to eat a little bit later than I should. But most people, it's about an hour after dinner. And so if you're getting up around 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe 6, you could be fasting for, about 12 hours or more. So breakfast, again, is doing just that. We're breaking that fast. So I, however, am going to argue that it's not so much when we start eating, but what we are eating at that time. So make sure you hear me. I don't think it's important that we eat first thing in the morning. You may have heard of this whole intermittent fasting thing that's become pretty popular right now, which I think is actually healthy if you're doing it, maybe not every day, but what fasting does and what our body does while we're sleeping is it's actually healing and recovering and rebuilding. It's doing a lot of things that it needs to do to make us, healthy human beings. So the 3 tips that I want to share with you today about breakfast would be with tip number 1. Again, it's not about when, but what. And what we are putting in needs to be pretty nutrient dense because what that does, what food we put in, hi Jess, how are you? What food we put into our bodies literally will set the stage for the rest of the day. Now I can date myself back to when I wasn't so nutrition conscious and I was, again, if you've been in my world, I mentioned my sugar addiction. And I would wake up and I would have a piece of chocolate cake that was left over from, a birthday party the night before. And unbeknownst to me, that set the stage for what my body craved and what it wanted and how I, how sluggish I was and how I reacted to certain situations for the rest of the day. And it was just like a domino effect. So what I challenge you to do is think about when whatever it is you're putting into that meal for your first meal of the day when you're breaking that fast is be conscientious knowing that if you're going to be eating a very sweet or a very rich breakfast, that's going to be setting the stage for how you're going to feel for the rest of the day. Which brings me to number 2, and that's what do we want to actually be putting into our breakfast? So I'd like you to consider 3 things that I think are super important in what we eat in that first meal. And that's going to be a fiber-rich, protein-rich, and healthy fats, sorry. So you want protein, you want fiber, and you want healthy fats as much as you can. So what would that maybe look like for you? Well, if you're, as far as protein's concerned, if you're a meat eater, that might be maybe some leftover chicken or some salmon from dinner the night before. It could be tofu, it could be beans. All of those are super rich in protein. Now, as far as fiber is concerned, again, this is something I talk about quite often. I love using seeds, whether it's hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds. All of these are absolutely wonderful and can be used in so many different ways, whether it's thrown into a smoothie, whether it's sprinkling on oatmeal, even on a salad. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can incorporate these super fiber-rich seeds into your breakfast. Hi, Chelsea. And then lastly, again, just 3 quick tips on how to make your breakfast choices super healthy and get you started and fueled for the day is that we need to break the mold of what breakfast actually is. We have gotten into this space where breakfast in America consists of eggs, bacon, and toast, right? Well, I want us to expand sort of our options and our horizons when it comes to that and start thinking about having lunch for breakfast or having dinner for breakfast. I mean, breakfast doesn't have to consist of breakfast foods. And honestly, a lot of times more so out of being lazy than anything else, I often have dinner leftovers for my breakfast. I'll just take some of the leftover veggies and saute it in a pan and serve it with some beans or with some brown rice, whatever it may be. I mean, a sweet potato with some almond butter and some berries and some hemp seeds. I mean, that's delicious. It hits all those marks, and it will get you fueled and get your day started out right. And I did not mention, but some of those healthy fats might look like avocado, might look like a small handful of nuts. It may be some coconut milk or olive oil if you're doing a little stir fry or saute. So those are some 3 tips that I think will really help you in sort of really understanding this idea of breakfast and breaking fast. And again, remember, it's not so much when you actually break that fast, but what it is that we're putting in our bodies when we do. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you soon.